Good evening, good evening, everyone. My name is Eda Chisum, and here's my week four submission for the Metro Bank analysis. So over here is my pivot table where I did the necessary calculations and the analysis. So the first pivot table here is my KPI. I used DAX measure to get all these KPIs here. Apart from this number of branch, no, I didn't use DAX measure for it, but the rest were gotten with DAX measure. So here's my first dashboard. Here we have the KPIs that I calculated earlier: total revenue, total cost, profit margin, and profits here. So over here we have a total revenue of $59.42 million. Then we have a total operational cost of $21.17 million. And here we have a profit of $38.25 million and a profit margin of 64.38%. So here what I did here was to calculate for average revenue per region. So I just wanted to compare revenues generated per region to see which region generates high revenue and which region generates low revenue. So I decided to use the average revenue to compare each region. So here we can see that the southern region generates the highest revenue here, revenue of about $3.91 million. Then the eastern region generates the least revenue of about $2.22 million. So over here what I did was to calculate for profit per region. So I just wanted to know the region that has high profits, that generates high profits, and the region that does not generate much or that generates low profits. So here the southern region generates the highest profit of $14.79 million, followed by the western region that generates $9.47 million, then followed closely by the northern region that generates $8.84 million. Then the region that generates the least profit is the eastern region. It generates about $5.15 million. So over here what I did here was to calculate for revenue per staff. Yeah, that's what I did here, to calculate for revenue per staff. And here I calculated for revenue per branch. So I decided to just split it into two instead of having a long and bulky chart of branches and the revenues they generate. I decided to split it and show the most important, since the report is for our COO to know which branch to invest. So I decided to split it into two to show him the top 5 branches and the bottom 5 branches. So here are the top 5 branches, these 5, and here are the bottom 5 branches. So these are the top 5 branches he can invest in, and these are the bottom 5 branches he can probably avoid. Yeah. And over here is my second chart. Here I calculated for profit margin per region. So I just wanted to see the profit margin of each region that we have here. So we have eastern region with the least profit margin of 47%, the northern region with the highest profit margin of 76%, and the southern region with a profit margin of 63%, and western region with a profit margin of 72%. So over here I decided to use the highest profit margin. Yeah, I decided to impute the highest profit margin inside of here. So here is the operating cost per region. So I just wanted to know the region that requires more finance for the operating cost. So that's why I did this, and I got southern region requiring $8.7 million for the operational cost. Yeah, they spend $8.7 million in the operational cost, and the northern region spending less, which is less of about $2.8 million in the operational cost. So over here what I did here was to calculate for average of cost to revenue ratio. Then in this average of cost to revenue ratio, I just decided to use city here to compare it I decided to use CT to check the average of cost to revenue ratio. This cost to revenue ratio, if you remember correctly, we calculated this. That's where I showed you we calculated it over here using DAX. Here's where I calculated it. I used DAX to calculate cost to revenue ratio. So what I did was to impute it in values, then change it to average. Then I used CT from branches. I imputed CT in rows. Then that's basically what I did to get this. Then in this last one we were asked, does larger staff mean larger revenue? So here I did some analysis. I used scatter plot, which shows that no, larger staff doesn't necessarily mean larger revenue, that there are other factors that has to be in place, factors like staff efficiency and the rest. And the correlation value we have here is 0.006, which is a very weak correlation. They are showing that no, larger staff doesn't mean larger revenue. So over here is a report, my report summary, everything I did in this analysis, this branch analysis. Here is where I wrote everything down, the numbers, the figures, the percentage, everything here. Here's where I wrote everything down. So thank you.